It's the moment you've all been waiting for. Some new information has finally surfaced regarding Brett Cooper leaving the Daily Wire. And this particular information is especially interesting and cryptic in a way. First of all, for those of you who don't know, Brett Cooper, host of The Comment Section with Brett Cooper, she left, and now the show is being run by Reagan Conrad. Well, Reagan's cousin, Riley Conrad, made a video 9 minutes long titled The Truth About Brett Cooper Leaving the Daily Wire. And what makes this particularly interesting is this video was only up for a very short time. I'm not sure how long exactly, but it's my understanding that it was only a maximum a few hours. And then she deleted it. So I'm not even sure what she's going to say. I have not watched this yet. This is seriously my first reaction as well. So let's get started with this. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep your sanity.
Over the past week or so, I have watched the internet completely rip my cousin to shreds over something that is the furthest thing from her fault. And I've watched the one person who should have been in her corner and could have changed the narrative sit back and stay completely silent. So I, for one, am not going to stay silent, and I'm about to tell you exactly what happened. I suggest that you listen to this video and, in fact, even share this around, because this needs to be spoken about and Reagan's name needs to be cleared. I'm Riley Conrad, and my cousin is Reagan Conrad, who works for the Daily Wire and is the current host of the comments section on YouTube. The previous host was Brett Cooper. If you're unaware, the internet, especially Brett Cooper stans, have been up in arms over the fact that Brett Cooper recently decided to leave. There's been a lot of speculation over what happened, why did Brett leave. The speculation unfortunately turned into rumors, and then the rumors were taken and ran with.
Well, now there's even more speculation, because if what you're saying in this video is true, it kind of begs the question, why did you delete it? That's something that I think a lot of people want to know. It comes off now strange. Did you delete it because you got some information a little bit incorrect? You never posted any updates, so it comes across a little bit suspicious, I guess. I don't know. It makes the whole situation all the more complicated.
And then my cousin just began to get hated on, and it's actually crazy the things that people are saying. And I want to set the record straight, because unfortunately, while Reagan and Brett were best friends, Brett has just sat back and watched this happen to Reagan. And in fact, she removed all of her posts with Reagan on Instagram and eventually unfollowed her too, which obviously made the internet even more skeptical of Reagan. And it's just plain wrong, because Reagan has done absolutely nothing but support Brett her entire career.
I wonder why, though. Like, is this going to be just saying Brett Cooper's a bad person? Because, I mean, I really wouldn't be very surprised.
It's rubbing me the wrong way. I'm about to talk. Here's what really happened. Brett chooses to leave over reasons that legally I don't believe I am allowed to say, so I'm not going to touch on them. And honestly, that's Brett's story. But moral of the story, Brett decided to leave. 100% Brett's decision. And Brett said that herself, although people aren't believing that. I do understand the circumstances are a little weird, but Brett chose to leave. That is what you need to know. And the rest of the story I'm about to tell you. So here's where Reagan's part comes in. Reagan was the producer of the comments section. Like I said, they were best friends. So whenever Brett decides to leave, Brett recommends to the Daily Wire that Reagan step in and be the substitute host for a period of time. So Reagan, with her friend's blessing, decides that she is going to do this, and she loved it. Reagan has always loved the Daily Wire. While Brett decided to step away, Reagan has always really enjoyed her time there, and I personally have witnessed how much Reagan loves to do research on Republican media. She loves all things Republican news. So this was perfect.
Okay, so I'm now going to conclude that this video might be a bit of a simp fest for Reagan Conrad. However, I am interested in the whole story, and it does seem as if Brett Cooper might be the one who's in the wrong, at least based on the information we're hearing so far.
For her. I've watched her grow and flourish with the Daily Wire, and she has literally just stepped into each position full force, and she absolutely loved her time being able to be the substitute host. However, that being said, Reagan wanted them to continue searching for other hosts that could actually step in full time. So she's the substitute host while they're doing this search, and they decided they didn't like any of the other host options. They wanted Reagan. So the Daily Wire reaches out and offers the position to Reagan. Now, Reagan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Brett has told Reagan that she wants Reagan to come with her, to leave the Daily Wire with her. And she told her that she could be her producer. However, that being said, it would be months before Brett knew of what she wanted Reagan to exactly be doing. It would be months until Reagan got paid by Brett. And also, Reagan would not be getting as much pay from Brett, that's for sure. The Daily Wire is able to pay her a great sum of money. Brett wouldn't be able to pay her quite as much. While Brett is doing quite well for herself, it wouldn't be able to be quite as much. So Reagan would be taking a significant pay cut. Now,
Okay, so now this is starting to seem even more petty of Brett Cooper. Could it be then, if what this girl is saying is true, that Brett Cooper is unfollowing her friend and just being downright kind of rude or at least silent towards her friend when her friend is getting a bunch of backlash or whatever? Is it just because she wanted that girl to come along with her and be her little social media manager? Even though the fucking Daily Wire offered her a job? Listen, I'm sorry. If you were a conservative, first of all, if you're brain dead enough to be a conservative, like, props to you, okay? That takes courage in and of itself. Second of all, if you were a conservative and you're offered a job at the Daily Wire, you fucking take that shit. That is like cha-ching, okay? That is where the grifter cash is at. If, again, everything this girl's saying is allegedly, so it's insane to me, though, to think that Brett would have wanted her to sacrifice a massive salary and a great gig with a very well-established brand and network. Just give that all up so that she can just, like, follow Brett Cooper around as her little cheerleader, and then maybe one day she'll be able to be the social media manager for her? What?
my cousin is doing fantastic in life, but I don't know about you. Most people cannot just take several months off of work and then also take a massive pay cut when they have expenses. So, all of that considered, along with the fact that Reagan loves what she's doing, she believes in the Daily Wire, and she really enjoys being in front of the camera. She loves it. You can watch, guys. Like, everybody's accusing her of having acting classes. I can tell you, that is how Reagan's always been. That's how she's always spoken. Yes, maybe they have some of the same mannerisms. They've been best friends. Who of you has a best friend and doesn't start kind of talking like them? You usually have the same lingo. So the acting classes, rumor.
I mean, that is definitely something to remember. Like, if your cousin is best friends with Brett Cooper, your cousin needs to reevaluate some things. Also, what exactly is there to copy about Brett Cooper? Like, she's already a copy-pasted version of every generic conservative white woman.
So the acting classes, rumor, it's just that. It's a rumor. Reagan has never had acting classes. She literally just does speak that way. That's how she is. Anyways, you can tell she loves it. She loves being in front of the camera. So she decides, even though she's between a rock and a hard place and does not want to offend Brett, she decides to take the position because she's meant for it, guys. I don't know how to explain to you. I've watched Reagan grow over the course of her time there, and she used to be so afraid to speak up about her views. She actually came to me at one point when I was starting to do social media, and I was always talking.
Give me a chance to debate Reagan Conrad, and I will make sure that she is once again afraid to be loud about her views.
About being a Republican and talking about my views. She came to me and said, Rye, how do you do that? Like, how do you unashamedly talk about your views and not worry about offending people? And I was just like, you can't worry about it. Like, you gotta be true to yourself. She grew from that over the course of the Daily Wire, being able to completely speak up about her feelings, speak up about what she knows, and be such a solid voice for Republicans, especially young female Republicans. She is a huge...
Oh no, young female Republicans? Oh man, the young female Republicans are not sending their best.
Voice and makes a massive impact. Even as producer, she was doing that behind the scenes. She was doing that on her Instagram stories. So those of you accusing her of just stealing this role, she's meant for it. You just haven't given her a chance. So Thanksgiving comes around and Reagan is dealing with this, do I take it, do I not? She wanted to take it so badly, but you should have seen us in the basement of my grandparents' house, her being an emotional wreck, not wanting to upset Brett. That was her only concern. And I said, take away Brett's feelings. What would you do?
Honestly, if your best friend is willfully leaving the job and they're seriously your best friend, wouldn't the best friend support their friend's best interest? Like, doesn't that kind of go without saying? Why would Brett Cooper not be supportive of Reagan taking over? If that meant a really good job and stability for her, and as this person's saying, she was apparently made for it or whatever, I don't really believe that. But still, why not? Why would you not then wish the best for your friend? Even the way that she's explaining this, I know she's trying to explain this in a way to make Reagan look good, but it ends up making Brett Cooper actually look even worse. If they're your friend, they should want what's best for you. And it seems as though Brett Cooper is sort of like giving Reagan the cold shoulder. And if what this girl is saying is true, that just once again demonstrates that Brett Cooper is kind of a piece of shit. She's Brett Pooper.
She said, I would take it. I would love to take it. But if you include Brett's feelings, she didn't want to hurt her friend. But that being said, her friend decided to step away. It's different if Reagan shoved her out. It's different.
Why did she not ask her then? Just be like, hey, they offered me the job. I'd like to take it, but I don't want to upset you. How do you feel about that?
But she didn't. Brett chose to leave, and there was this open position that was then presented to Reagan as, do you want this? After multiple weeks of searching for somebody else. So, Reagan takes the position. And I said to Reagan, if Brett is a true friend, she will still be in your corner. If she is not, then she was never a true friend to begin with.
Hey, that's kind of like what I just said, only this girl said it in a more generic way and I said it better. Cool. That was a joke. Sorry. But what do you know? Here I was thinking this was going to be like, I don't know, spilling the tea on Reagan for some reason, but instead this is just spilling the tea on Brett Cooper. Who would have thought that conservatives would be mean, unempathetic, rude, disrespectful people?
I can understand Brett being hurt. I can understand Brett wanting Reagan to follow in a way, but Reagan is her own person, and she is meant for this role. You can't force people to do what you want them to do, and then if they don't do it, stop being their friend. So I was hoping in good faith, from what I had seen of Brett, that Brett would make the right decision and still support Reagan. Well, here's what happened. So obviously Brett puts out that video about stepping away from the Daily Wire and Reagan's going to be a great host, blah, blah, blah. That's all she said. Fair enough. Well, then Brett decides to remove all of the posts on her social media with Reagan. And I was like, that's low.
That's also so incredibly fucking catty. I don't even know what to say about that. This is the most petty, stupid shit. And honestly, like, if Brett Cooper wasn't famous, nobody would give a fuck or ever even really notice that, most likely. And again, this is just kind of like this one girl saying this, so I guess she could be lying or whatever, but she's coming across pretty convincing, and it definitely does make me a little bit more sympathetic towards Reagan in the situation, although not that sympathetic, because then again, they're still, you know, both brain-dead conservatives, so whatever.
But okay, maybe she's just trying to support Reagan. Maybe she's trying to not let her be in the limelight and not let people find her social media so that she doesn't get hated on. I don't know. Well, then Brett completely unfollows Reagan off of Instagram. Messed up, if you ask me. Because Reagan always was supporting Brett. Reagan
oh my God. So first she deletes all the Insta pics. Then she clicks that ugly unfollow button. No, seriously, it's I know it's really petty, unless I'm trying to think like what could be like the missing piece here that can make this make sense. Maybe Reagan and Brett Cooper or whatever had a conversation beforehand, and you know, maybe like Reagan implied heavily like, I'll go with you, I will follow you and help support you so that we can kind of do this thing together. That's the only thing I could think of that would maybe explain why Brett Cooper would be acting like this, would be as if she chose to leave because she believed that Reagan Conrad would continue to be with her, helping her. And then having Reagan gone, that could be like a major blow. That's, again, speculation. That's my best guess. Otherwise, this is just pathetic, bad behavior. I mean, even if that is what actually happened, this is still really pathetic and cringy, petty behavior.
Loved Brett, still loves Brett. To be honest with you, the way that she still is so forgiving of this girl is really incredible, because I would have said, screw you, after all of the things that Brett has now done. But she's still so loving towards Brett, and in fact has several times on YouTube already in Reagan's first few episodes very vocally supported Brett. She always supported Brett whenever she did the show, and she was so vocal about the fact that Brett was talented and Brett was a genius and blah, blah, blah. So I was very much hoping that whenever the tables turned and Reagan stepped into the position that Brett would do the same. Well, instead, since Reagan did not...
It sounds like Reagan literally like worshipped Brett a little bit there, like creepy, like put her on a pedestal. Oh, she's a genius, she's blah, blah, blah. Sort of reminds me of like Dwight in The Office, and it ends up putting you in a position where you're kind of just expected to keep following the leader.
Brett has completely turned on her and allowed the hate to happen, even though Reagan was offered the position fairly and Brett chose to step away. She's allowed the hate to spew and has not come forward and tried to clear Reagan's name, even slightly. So, it's sure, do I think the Daily Wire could have handled this differently and started a new show? Sure. But the show was never owned by Brett. It was never Brett's show. It's the Daily Wire's show, hosted by Brett. There was actually a host before Brett, although a lot of people don't know that. But the moral of the story is that Reagan's not at fault even slightly, and the internet is disgusting towards Reagan right now, and it's also disgusting how Brett has handled this because she's just fostered hate towards Reagan, and Reagan has said...
Yeah, okay, well, this seems as though this is like kind of silly, almost petty drama, but it does explain a couple things. And it also makes a little bit more sense. All in all, the fact that Reagan is getting all this hate just for taking over a show is pretty silly. She should be getting all this hate for being a dumb fuck conservative. That's what should really be getting her all the hate, you know? If she took over one Daily Wire show, who gives a fuck, you know? Well, either way, thank you to Reagan Conrad's cousin for spilling the tea about Brett Cooper before deleting the video. Did I get that right? Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.